Hey guys, welcome back to the channel. Thanks for tuning in again today. Well, today we're going to do a little bit of a different thing with the bike. Over the last probably couple months, I guess, since I added the suspension, I've been noticing a little bit of play in the front end of it, like some wobble, right? So I know the older bikes like the Dynas and some of the other bikes had, the death wobble up front. It's not so much that, but more so along the lines of if I'm going into like a sweeping turn or a high-speed turn as well on the freeway, I'm getting almost like a wobble in the bike, right? Like it's floating a little bit. So I think I mentioned in my video, I'm not sure which one it was, maybe it was the one that I added the suspension. Basically, when you're raising the bike up a little bit, it shouldn't change the geometry of the bike, but since it sits a little bit higher, the front forks are obviously keeping the wheel contact not as much on the pavement, if that makes sense, right? So if you're going on a turn, high-speed turn left or right, the contact point on the tire is not as much as it should be because the suspension itself is raked out a little bit higher than normal. On the 2-inch, more so than on a 1-inch. And I've talked to a couple people, and they said on these particular bikes, the STs, that there is slight variation in the steering feel when actually moving from a left to a right turn on high speed. Not so much on slower turns, but mainly on high speeds, given 70 plus miles an hour. So I've talked to a couple people, and I think I found a resolution. But before I purchased this item, I think I mentioned I did take the bike to an alignment. When I installed the front forks, they were off slightly. The alignment was a laser alignment here in Phoenix, really reputable shop. They basically dialed it in and said it was good to go. So given that, there was still some variation, and the shop did mention that they did feel that little wobble on it. So I did a little bit of digging, and I came to realize that probably the best bet to do would be to throw one of these guys on. So this is the GPR Stabilizer for this particular bike. It's version 5. It's basically a dampening system for your steering column, right? So higher risers, taller front forks is obviously going to change some of the characteristics of the bike. So this stabilizer basically gets rid of all that small imperfections on it. So it's basically like a shock for your steering column itself, right? So on the shocks you have the dampening and the compression, right? Well, this has actually oil in it as well. This mechanism basically, when you're turning left or right, or if the bike picks up any kind of imperfections, right? If the bars are twitching or stuff, this basically helps dampening all that, so it smooths it out. So I'm going to give this a try. Hopefully this does the trick. Given that I've done this and that on the bike, obviously it's going to change some of the things. So I'm hoping this product will help with that. And I'll go ahead and do the install on it here shortly and walk you through. It's pretty straightforward. It's all bolt on. There's no welding or cutting involved on it. This is specifically for this bike. They have them for different variations of the Harley as well. I think they actually started doing these on the Dyna with that death wobble. So the folks that have put this on basically experience zero issues with any kind of wobble up front on the steering column. So I'm hoping to get that out of it. Given it's a performance bike as well, I'm just trying to make sure that it's riding the best to its ability, and that we figure out any kind of issues that the bike might be throwing at us. So This basically is the stabilizer is itself, the mounting bracket, and then an adapter that goes on the steering column. So I'll walk you guys through the install process. Hopefully you guys that are running this can give me some feedback or your thoughts. Let me know in the comments what you guys think. But yeah, hopefully this is going to do the trick. I know I've posted a lot of videos here in the past, you know, just with installs and stuff. But I will do a review on, you know, most of the products. I think I did a review on my last revision, but you know, the suspension, this in particular, some of the other things that I put on the bike, the throttle body, right, and the cam and stuff. I'll go ahead and do a review video on that so you guys get up to speed. So let's dive into it. All right, so the install shouldn't take that long, as it's only a couple items. So the first thing we're going to do is going to loosen the pinch bolt here, which is a T45. And then we're going to remove the steering neck bolt completely, along with the washer, so that's going to come out. And I do have the bike raised up, so that way we can, I think we're going to actually have to do the calibration on the steering neck once we get it all tightened up. So I wanted to raise it off. We'll get this out of the way. So first step is to actually put the adapter on first. All right, so we got that off. You're not going to use this a washer. That's going to be replaced by the adapter from GPR. So if you can see here, it has a little slot, right? So this is actually going to slide right into this slot, and then this just sits on where the existing washer was. All right, so from here, what we're going to do is I'm actually going to redo and check the follow-away on this just to make sure it's in spec. Then we're going to tighten down the steering neck bolt and then the pinch bolt. So we'll check this real quick just to make sure that we have the spec correctly. I want to say the poundage is between 8 and 10 pounds. So we'll just make sure that that's correct, and then we'll go ahead and get the tank bolt removed so we can add the other bracket onto here that the stabilizer fits in. All right, so we got that torque down to 18 foot-pounds. I'm going to quickly do a follow-away test real quick just to make sure that it's in the spec. And then we can start installing the bracket and the stabilizer itself. All right, so for the follow-away test, the manual states minimum 6 pounds, maximum 9 pounds for the follow-away test. So basically, On the test, what you're going to do, you're going to put the steering or the handlebars to one side. You'll use a manual gauge, right, which basically is a fish scale. That's what I bought. And then it has your poundage, right? So basically you're going to pull on one side of the fork. So if we start with the right side, we're going to put the scale on here and we're going to pull it until it's straight, right? And that's going to give you the indicator. So we have about 6 pounds, a little bit less than 6 pounds. So we'll check the other side. So that one was 8. So we're going to check the other side one more time, see how consistent we are. Do this one real quick. So now we're at basically 6, probably 7, right? So 7, that's good. So basically just do it from one side to the other, and that will give you your fall away. If it's too much, back off the steering neck bearing bolt. If it's too little, tighten it up. I tighten mine up to 18 foot-pounds, and I think that's the ideal spot. You just want to make sure that you can twist it as well. And that's actually going to play some factor too on your wobble, right? So if you're not within that spec, make sure to check and adjust that, because if it's too loose, you're going to get wheel wobble. If it's too much, you might get wheel wobble as well because it's not being as flexible. So that's good. The steering neck bearing bolts tightened down. We have the follow weight test. So now we'll move forward to installing the bracket and the stabilizer. Okay, so now we're gonna remove the tank bolt as a next step, the top one. Mine's gonna be a little bit different setup because I have the stealth bars for the, what do you call it? The fairing mounted. So hopefully the bolt that came with the kit is long enough to close all these off here. So we'll make sure, but I think it should be okay. All right, so this is the bracket we're gonna install. I think there's only one way to put it on here, so we'll just make sure that it'll go on correctly. So it looks like the indentation on the bracket is going to be facing forward. So just be cautious of that, and we're going to tighten this down. I just want to check real quick, just do a test fit how this sits in here. Since I do have different bars, and I did ask them prior to purchasing it if it's going to fit with the Thrashin supply bars, which it does. So that's another thing you have to be cautious of if you're running one of these, just to make sure that it will fit. So now we're going to tighten the tank bolt down, and then we can put the stabilizer on. Okay, I just wanted to do a quick fit check. So basically, I did install this correctly as a step told me to. However, you need to put the stabilizer on first and then tighten the tank bracket so it's aligned correctly, right? So the actuator is correctly sitting on the tank bracket mount, right? And the actuator actually needs to stick out a little bit. So this is all adjustable back and forth, and there's a height adjustment. So just make sure that the actuator is flush with the tank mount bracket that's provided with you, and then that way it's correctly installed. So I'm gonna actually pull this off right now. I'm gonna put, it doesn't tell you to put Loctite on it, but I'm just gonna put a couple drops just to make sure that everything is nice and sound, because obviously these bikes have some vibration and we want to make sure that nothing comes loose, especially on the steering part. So I'm just gonna put just a little blue Loctite on the stabilizer bolts. Not a lot. And there's no torque specs on these bolts, so I'm just gonna make sure that these are just nice and tight. Obviously don't over torque them, but all right, I mean, that's pretty much it. Pretty easy install. You have a 1 to 8 setting, depending on how stiff you want it. I'll probably play around with this. Maybe we'll start off at 2 and see where it is. There's no binding, so everything's clearing correctly, which is perfect. Yeah, pretty easy install. Let me bring this over to you guys here real quick, just to show you. So we have full deflection from left to right. No binding. As you can see, this is stationary, right? So that's the dampening system. Actuators right there. So basically, you know, you got your wobble, right? So depending on how the bike behaves, you can adjust the knob on here, 1 to 8. That way you can kind of find your sweet spot depending on what you're riding, if street riding or on the highway. I'll probably start it off at 3. Pretty straightforward. Actually, stealth bars that I installed for the fairing, right? Because I did that in my other video. I removed that and cleaned everything up. Actually, the bolt was perfect match, so I just put the stealth bracket on the side of the GPR bracket just to make sure that the contact is on the tank, not in between here. So that's the way it's correctly installed. But so far so good. We'll give this guy a try and see how it is on the bike. Again, a lot of room here on the Thrashin supply risers. So just make sure that when you order them, I would call them before. Make sure, ask them what risers you guys have and see, because there's some risers might come down too much and you won't be able to fit the stabilizer bar on here. So one thing too, I did ask, so Thrashin says that their triple trees top ones, the aftermarket ones, won't work with this. So for now, I'm going to be running the stock triple trees until I can figure out if there's going to be an upgrade available that will allow for the GPR. If not, we'll just deal with it. But obviously, it would be nice to have a little bit cleaner triple tree. But for now, we'll give this a whirl. So yeah, again, easy install, not more than, I would say, 30 minutes. The instruction says hour to hour and a half. I think some of them do come with triple trees or the top mount, because you can't configure this on some of the stock triple trees, so they include the top tree and then the stabilizer itself. But this one is just a stabilizer and you utilize your existing triple trees. Well, that's going to wrap it for today's video of the GPR stabilizer that's installed. Pretty straightforward process. I would probably estimate an install time of maybe 30 to 45 minutes if you're familiar with the bike. There's just a few components that come with it. Obviously the stabilizer itself, you got the adapter that goes on the steering neck bearing bolt area on the neck of it. And then you have a bracket that attaches to your front tank mount that the actuator slides into. So it's just that, and then the other two components, so 3 total. Like I said, pretty straight install itself, basic tools required. I did happen to take it out for a ride after the install, and as I mentioned before in the earlier portion of the video, I was experiencing some oscillation and wobble, specifically in the front handlebar when I was in high sweeping turns at higher speeds, like 70 to 90 plus range. So the stabilizer did actually take out some of that steering jittery, right? The older bikes like your Dynas had that death wobble, right? So this stabilizer does subside some of that stuff. I'm still feeling it on the back end a little bit, and I think that's just the nature of the bike on those high-speed turns. So I just have to get familiar with it and used to it, especially with the higher suspension setup, you know, +2. Running the stock stock wheels as well. So the contributive factor for what I've been reading online is most likely from the +2 suspension that I have on it. So I did take the steering, I guess, you know, jittery and wobbleness out with the GPR stabilizer, so I'm happy about that. I'm still getting that back flotation, you know, coming out of the sweeping turn. So mainly I was going for getting the, you know, shifting lanes at higher speeds, because obviously the contact point of the tire does change when you lift the front end out. So overall, I'm happy with the stabilizer itself. I think it is a good investment, especially if you're, you know, looking at the high performance bikes, and this definitely will help. Obviously it's a little bit pricey, but given, you know, what you're putting into the bike with the performance products and the upgrades, I think this is kind of just an added bonus to it. So there are some settings on it, 1 through 8. I'm running it on I believe like a 4 at the moment, so you can play with it. It does say in the instructions to start between 3 and 4 and assess after that, so I'll give it some more seat time. I'll be going up here not too long up in the canyons, and just, you know, there's going to be a lot of back and forth high-speed turns, so maybe I'll, you know, fluctuate between the different settings on the dampener to see if it helps out. Obviously, the more dampening you put in it, the harder it's going to be to steer. So just make sure that you're not over dampening it, because that can also play in a factor of your steering responsiveness. So right now I'm between 3 and 4. I'll probably change it up to like a 5 and 6 and see how that changes. But overall, pretty happy with the product itself. Good quality materials used on it. Support's great. Locally based company out of San Diego. And I think they started off with the street bikes and the track bikes. You can see a lot of these dampeners on the higher end street bikes, just because, you know, the shorter steering column that they have on the handlebars, right? You're playing a lot with that short throw on your adjustment, so that definitely helps on the street bikes side of it. I think they also make them for the quads and the dirt bikes, and then they got into the Harley. So definitely look into it if you're wanting to get a, you know, complete, you know, best of the best steering column, suspension, handlebar, riser setup. It's just an added bonus. I do know a couple of people that are running this on the Lowrider S, which is a similar front end, and then obviously the STs, they make them. I think this is also compatible with the Street Bob itself. So yeah, definitely a company to look out for, GPR stabilizers. Again, I don't know if I'm going to be posting you know, a few other videos from install standpoint, because I'm taking time to have surgery on my knee. So if I do happen to make a video, probably something just you know, overview of maybe the brakes that I put on, and also the RCS 19 master cylinder. I want to actually talk a little bit about that, kind of get the real world experience, because I did put some miles on the master cylinder and the Brembo caliper, so I definitely want to provide some feedback on that. So I'll try to get a video here in the next couple weeks on my downtime. And then I'm not sure what else is planned here with the install, because I've been doing a lot of installs, but I'll probably start making a couple more videos with the reviews of what I've been doing to the bike, just to kind of give you some more feedback on it. So let me know in the comments what you guys think. If you guys are running the stabilizer, I'd like to definitely hear some feedback on that, especially on the M8 Softail platform, and maybe on the baggers as well, just to kind of gauge where everybody's thinking. Also, just let me know the feedback on the install itself. And then, you know, lastly, like and subscribe to the videos. If you're liking the content, that definitely helps with the algorithms. I'm trying to, you know, gain the subscription base as quickly as possible. So any feedback or engagement on the channel definitely helps. So hope you guys like the video, and we'll catch you guys on the next one.